What's up, everybody? I'm George Niang, and this is my co-host, Kevin Spees, and we are the Bench Sheet Podcast. We have been held back a little bit. You know, the off season is here. I had to
First, we got to get to our sponsors before we get to what you're going to talk about, which is really important, which is what you've been doing the last 2 weeks because you've been gone. But first, we have to mention MyBookie. Sign up promo code using Grill Guy. Bench Sheet brought to you by MyBookie. Playoffs, baseball, golf, get it in, hockey, NHL, which I went to a game, which is pretty cool. MyBookie, use promo code Grill Guy. We're back.
Yeah, no, I was making sure I actually logged in, used MyBookie.
You did.
And put in some NHL bets.
You are a hockey guy.
Shout out the Florida Panthers. Shout out the Canadians getting one. Because I'm a big bet on the dogs, underdogs. So in hockey, you take the underdogs, get a nice little payout. So you heard it here first from Kevin. Subscribe to MyBookie, promo code Grill Guy.
Do you have any picks in hockey? Do you think Toronto has any shocks? They won their series for the first time in forever, right?
I don't know. I'm heavy on the Connor McDavid train.
Yeah?
And I'm almost wish that I put in that bet.
Like a futures?
Yeah, at the beginning of the season. When you watch that guy, he's masterful.
Dude, he's a dog.
Yeah, it's impressive.
And he's American-born.
When you're that, I'm not sure that he's American-born. He plays for Team Canada. So Kevin has issues fact-checking, but we're here. We're going to hire someone over the summer that we can fact-check and then get it right on. But back to what I was doing, we got eliminated in the play-in game. We're going to go over this briefly. Lost to the Miami Heat. I took a vacation, a hiatus, get my mind, body right, and we're back. We're here. We're recording. I mean, we've been watching playoffs basketball, and it's been phenomenal. And a lot of people are talking spicy, and these are some of the best playoffs yet. And people are talking about the ratings being down.
Can we just talk about the pride of Lincolnshire, Illinois? Stevenson High School. You would think you're talking about me because I am also from this high school, but we are not. We are talking about Jalen.
You suck.
Kia Clutch Player of the Year, showing everybody why he was the Clutch Player of the Year with an absolute dagger. Do you get hyped for these moments as a basketball guy? No, obviously these are competitors of yours, but do you ever watch that and you're like, damn, I went crazy.
Hey, I don't know if I would be doing that, but that was a hell of a move. But you want to talk about that fucking series? That was football
war.
That was amazing. People give a lot of shit to the refs, and I know there was a call that
there was a couple.
People say that they missed it, the 2-minute report, but whatever. They were finding a good balance of letting them play and then calling fouls, and that was just an awesome series to watch. The physicality, the extra effort. You talk about games going down to the wire and every possession mattering. It's there's almost one playoff game in that series was 4 regular season games combined into one, and then you talk about Jalen Brunson. I mean, that's just phenomenal. You talk about Knicks legends, what he's doing is paving his way into that Mount Rushmore of Knicks legend.
We're going to see that shot for decades to come. That is going to be you want to say the Jordan shot, but it's that's not, everyone was oh, this is Jordan over Bill Russell, or whatever, not Bill Russell, whatever the fuck his Russell's name was, against the Jazz. It's a totally different, Brian Russell. It's a totally different shot. It's more like Jordan's shot over the Cavs is what it's that legendary one where he buries that was a playoff game. But it's going to be an iconic Brunson.
I just don't understand why you brought up the Cavs.
We don't need to bring up the Cavs. No, I'm kidding. I'm rooting for the Cavs. I know you're not, or maybe you are.
I am.
That shot was legendary, but like you said, that fucking series was crazy. Everyone, obviously a bunch of my friends are Knicks fans. Oh, we should win this in 5. I'm you guys are crazy. If we do win it in 5, it's going to be a dog fight every game. Yeah. And it was a dog fight.
And you want to know why it was a dog fight?
Why?
I usually don't give flowers like this, but Cade motherfucking Cunningham.
God.
People had questions about who he was before, and I'm not saying I ever had a question, but, obviously when Detroit was going through what they were going through the last couple of years, you aren't really thinking about what they have going on, but I've seen enough from him. Mad respect to him. You talk about when they won at the Garden, everybody's like, he was like, we got to go home, take care of business. Like, you talk about the maturation of someone that, was given a max contract, drafted number 1 overall, and embraces Detroit, and the growth of what you've seen is like these young kids, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Haliburton, Cade Cunningham. I know I'm forgetting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Sorry if I'm forgetting anybody in there, but the new school of guys here we come.
Yeah.
Like, there is no shortage of talent in the pipeline. And the young guys are extremely talented, and as you can see, they are fucking ready for what's next.
And I think you hit on the head. They're seemingly good dudes. It's not like diva-y. It's like the league is in great hands, I think, for real. Cade Cunningham seems like, even Jalen Brunson you can throw into that, who's like a little bit older, but he's like, kind of a newer star the last few years. Guys that just kind of say the right things. And Edwards is the most likable person, I feel like, in sports. He's so funny and likable.
You talk about a hype man. Who hypes up their teammates more than
him? And he's 23, this dude. He's a kid. He's 23 years old. And Cade, just watching him, it's like nobody can speed that dude up. He plays at his pace, not saying that's a slow pace. A lot of people think when you say, he plays at his pace, they say that shit about you, and they say that about Kyle Anderson. He plays at his pace, and a lot of times they're just saying, he's a slower player, and that's not the case with Cade. And it's not the case with you guys either. It's people that can control. You have to
justify that. Sometimes being slow is okay.
It's a good thing, yeah. People that can control their own pace, can do a lot of damage, because he gets downhill, and it's like, that's a 6'8", 250 athlete coming downhill, but he's slow, he's methodical. He probably has to improve the outside shot a little bit if there's one area where he needs to improve, and I'm sure he will. He's improved on that, up until this point. So I see Detroit doing big things. I think they got a bright future ahead.
Yeah, it was phenomenal to see. You talk about a team that struggled last year, and now they're they made it into the playoffs. They put up a hell of a fight. You could even say there was some crossover in between where they should have had an opportunity to win some games, but that's basketball, right? You go in every year trying to dominate, be your best, and sometimes you don't come out and win. But the Knicks' performance is extremely impressive, right? You talk about going on the road in a hostile environment. The Detroit crowd, wow, holy shit! You had Ben Wallace, you had Chauncey Billups, and fucking Rip Hamilton.
Dude,
yeah, he was
legends.
in the house. Yeah.
How old were you when those 04, 0 to 0, even 08?
I was 11. Yeah. So those guys were kind of like what I remember of the Detroit Pistons. They're phenomenal. Actually, I got a chance to, do NBA TV, and Isaiah Thomas was actually, not on the call, but sitting on the seat around was me, Wes Matthews, Isaiah Thomas, and Chris Miles, and it was cool to hear him talk about Detroit and back in the day and how he feels about the league. And you just think about the history of Detroit basketball. Isaiah Thomas only played for the Detroit Pistons
ever his whole.
And I don't remember how many championships he.
I think they only won one.
Yeah, but anyway, you talk about a top 5 point guard of all time.
Yeah, and it's funny because coinciding with this, I was in Detroit for a few days also, and it was the first time I was in the city, and you just get this underdog vibe from Detroit. 8 Mile is the ultimate underdog story. The city has gone through hell since the 80s. It's starting to come back. It's starting to, things are going the right way. The Lions all of a sudden are good, who are horrible forever. I mean, the Lions were the worst team in the NFL for the longest. They have a great shot at the Super Bowl this year. It's I'm happy for Detroit. I'm excited to see.
You don't fucking mean that. Shut up.
I do.
No, you really don't.
I think I'm a Lions fan.
He's not happy for them. Don't ever fucking believe anything this goofball
I'm
says.
mad because the one thing I wanted to do was there's a glizzy war in Detroit. Have you heard about this?
See, these are the type of conversations that I don't entertain on a sports podcast.
You don't eat hot dogs?
No.
What do you eat? You said one time you eat sausages.
Hamburgers. I'm the hamburger.
Yeah, you did crush hamburger at the baseball game I went to. Okay. The important thing to say is about these hot dogs. That's the one thing I didn't get to do in Detroit. There's an American versus Lafayette hot dog war. They're brothers. I didn't get to do that. So
shout out to you guys. You guys Awesome War. I bet you it's really cool. Kevin will be there. It actually will be sponsored by MyBookie. We'll be out there. We'll do a podcast, and Kevin will eat both glizzies and let you know which one is better.
I'll have
with that being said, what is happening in LA, my boy?
Oh, what you tell me?
What is happening in LA?
I'll give you my thought process on what happened in LA.
What?
You put a team together in February, and the biggest part of that trade is one that didn't go through. Like,
whoa. What?
Jackson Hayes, I'm sorry, is not a starting center.
Time out. He's about to say Jackson Hayes is not a starting center.
Yes.
And Mark Williams is a starting center.
Yes.
No disrespect to Mark Williams and no disrespect to Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes is a lob threat, rim protector, high flyer, right? Mm-hmm. Mark Williams is what?
All those things.
He's been fucking playing for the Charlotte Hornets.
This is not
even real basketball.
Cut it here. You hear it here, folks. That trade not going through hurt that team a lot.
Bro, listen, I think Mark Williams can be really good. But when you're playing on a stage that
they got 6 bench points.
Bro, magnified. 6. We're talking about you're going from Charlotte to LA. Like, I don't know if you realize it, but the pressure of going from the Spectrum Center.
No one's listening. I get it. No one's watching. No one's there.
Spectrum Center to Crypto Arena.
You still don't think he'd be more effective than Jackson Hayes?
Listen, all I know is that with the Charlotte Hornets, you fuck up, like nothing's magnified, and it's like, okay, well, we're like little things matter. In playing for the Lakers, like you need to be dialed in every single night. And going from playing for a team where you can play through your mistakes to where like it's JJ Redick's legacy, Luka's legacy, LeBron's legacy, like you're not going to be able to just play through these mistakes. Like you need to be dialed in and you need to be on your A game because that's what's needed out of you. And if you're going to continue to fuck up, like this isn't like a walk in the park. Like this is like intense basketball. And for you to go from the Charlotte Hornets to the LA Lakers and for someone to just think that like that trade would have just magnificently helped. Like this isn't NBA 2K. You don't just plug a player and like simulate. Like there's a lot of outside factors that go into it. Like Mark Williams, one, you need to be healthy, which I don't pay attention to anybody else's health. That's like totally on them how you feel. But then again, you need to be mentally prepared to handle the coverages, how LeBron speaks to you, how he wants you to, roll the hoop, or how Luka, or who else I'm playing with, and alongside that I need to know like what their tendencies are. Then how can I protect the rim? Like there's so many different things.
Part of what I was saying is that the team
go from playing meaningless games to playoff games.
Yes, and that team was put together in February, 3 months ago. So that also played a huge reason.
1 point is like would have helped.
Having Mark Williams on that team would have helped them. I don't know if they would have won the series. They lost to a team. They lost to a team that made the conference finals last year. Those teams, while it's a 3 and a 6, were separated by 1 game. That's like the same seeded team. The Wolves should win that series, in my opinion. I don't think that that's an upset that the Lakers lost that series. That team was put together. Also, who is coming off that bench on that team? Do you know? Because they're getting 4 points a game from their bench. There's nothing. They're getting no production. Jackson Hayes didn't even play.
Grab your phone.
Jackson Hayes
and tell me what Dante DiVincenzo scored off the bench in that last game.
Okay, let's look at bench points for this last game. Bench points, just bench points. Okay, Dante DiVincenzo scored 9, Alexander Walker 10, and Naz Reid, who for a lot of the series was the best player off the bench, only scored 3. Still getting 22 points. You got 4 points off the bench.
Who are they?
Kleber and Vanderbilt. Gabe Vincent played 26 minutes, had 0 points.
Evan, this is like you talking and not understanding the realm of basketball. Like with Luka Doncic,
yes,
and LeBron James there, you have 2 primary ball handlers and scorers, right?
Get it. Understood.
So people that are going to benefit are usually people that are catch and shoot.
Yes.
And people that are like lob threats or whatever, right? So with that being said, Rui Hachimura had a stellar series, right? Making threes, driving to the rim, or whatever. Austin Reeves, obviously like
isn't as much of a spot-up shooter as
no, he's not, and he's more of a creator. And this was a series where he's a really good player, phenomenal player, but at the end of the day, he didn't have a great series, and we've seen Austin Reeves be dominant and average 20 points. So sometimes it's all about timing, and having a bad series kind of cost you, right?
Yes.
And that's totally fine. But at the end of the day, for you to just say they have no bench, blah 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 blah. Well, let's not beat around the bush here. I love Mike Conley to death, but they were subbing him out to then put in Dante DiVincenzo. So is Dante DiVincenzo considered a starter? Because what really took it over the top was Julius Randle's performance.
Played great.
Yeah, exactly. So they had three guys.
Yeah, and
playing phenomenal.
Yeah. All their big three all played incredible. Anthony Edwards is, in my opinion, if he's not already, he's going to be a top 3 player in the league in the next couple of years. I think he is so good. I also think an obvious place where they got hurt is that Luka Doncic doesn't play. He's just not a good defender. So you have no, and the reason why I'm saying these things is because you add them all up. You have no bench production at all, at all. Your starting center gets a DNP in a closeout game, which is I don't understand that. Either he's that bad or
no. I mean, you have to make adjustments. They lost.
You make adjustments. Right.
So you made an adjustment and it didn't work.
It didn't work. Get it? LeBron James this is the other thing that's annoying the fuck out of me is everybody's like, LeBron James he's the greatest of all time. Why does he bounce in the first round? This dude is fucking 40. He's 40 and he was the best defender on the court for his team, in my opinion, and was probably the second best offensive player.
Yeah, anybody that says that, I want you to take out your phone and Google who else has played 22 years in the NBA, right?
Yes.
And what else is going to show up is Vince Carter. I want you to look at Vince Carter's stats in his 22nd year and LeBron James' stats in his 22nd year. No disrespect. This isn't disrespect to Vince Carter because he's a legend, childhood favorite.
Oh yeah.
But what LeBron James is doing, let's all give him his flowers. This is phenomenal. I heard that he had an injury, after the game. I hope he
MCL.
Bounces back.
Yeah.
From that, but.
They need pieces, though. We have to agree on that. That the Lakers team needs pieces. That's an incomplete team. I don't think they're far off from the Knicks, to be honest. Where they're heavy 1 to 3, they have great players, but you need to have a bench.
So what do you want? You want them to have more role players.
I want them to have.
Or do they need to go get another star?
Malik Beasley is on a 1-year deal, I'm pretty sure, right? So that's somebody who I think would be a great free agent addition.
He's going to get
over there.
He's going to get paid a lot of money.
Yeah, he's going to get paid. And
the incentive with the new CBA, which we don't have to get into, is that teams are allowed or have an advantage to keep their own players.
Yeah.
And with the salary cap, you get into the second apron with those teams, it gets tough. Obviously Jared Vanderbilt is a defensive menace out there. So if you're looking for points, is that a piece that you
got to move or
you look? I don't really know, but that series was as good as advertised. Obviously, in Minnesota they lost that close game, and if that goes a different way, are we singing a different tune?
Yeah, it's a competitive series.
At the end of the day, Anthony Edwards had a phenomenal series. Julius Randle did, and Rudy Gobert took it. He took advantage of when there wasn't a center. So there's not much more left to be said about coming at people's bench or needing pieces. Minnesota played a more complete series and had more consistency, and that's really what it comes down to.
Can we get Luka Garza on the floor, please, guys? Can we please get Luka Garza out there? Please. I think Luka Garza, this is also because I made a bet with someone that I think Luka Garza is going to be a starter in the league before his career is out.
I love Luka Garza, but you're putting personal bias into this?
Yeah, but there's no room for him when you have Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, and Naz Reid, who are all playing great.
So why did you just say that?
He'll go somewhere else. I know. I just want him to play. The other series, we've got a Game 7 tomorrow we should talk about. Actually, there's a Game 6 tonight, but a Game 7 tomorrow I'm curious to hear your thoughts on, which is the Clippers-Nuggets series. Have you been watching? I think people saw that on paper at the beginning of the playoffs. So that's going to be the series of the first round. It's proven that is the case.
Yeah.
What do you see happening in Game 7?
It's back in Denver.
It's back in Denver.
Yeah, people say all these things about James Harden, who I was lucky enough to play alongside in Philadelphia, and he was nothing short of phenomenal.
You've always loved James Harden, and you never let anyone talk about him.
Yeah, you talk about people have their opinions about him, and he really doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He loves to play basketball, and I think one thing that people can't take away from a superstar or someone that's achieved literally everything that you've set out to do, whether if it's scoring titles, making a lot of money, having your own shoe, all those things that could take your work ethic down, he's risen to the occasion, right? Yeah. Left Houston, people or in Brooklyn, people were in Philly were like, oh, he's lost it. He goes over to LA and transitions himself into a point guard, still can score, and he loves basketball. Like, that dude works on his craft constantly, and the things that he's able to do, with taking care of his body so that he can play these games. Like, he plays. He's a guy that plays 30-plus minutes a night, makes a lot of money, and shows up every night and plays. Yeah. Like, there's some people out there that, if they got paid and they're like, well,
I'm good.
Yeah, I don't have to play. And he shows up and he plays. And through it all, everybody's talking about, like, Game 6, Game 7, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. James Harden is like what you call like a baller. Like, he loves to hoop.
A hooper,
Hooper. He loves to hoop. And the crazy part is he's phenomenal. Then, like, Jokic is phenomenal. It's like, who's phenomenal is going to beat who? Then you throw Kawhi Leonard in there,
who is like back to like
that game 2 in Denver was. I was like, this is a masterclass.
This guy is crazy.
And then you talk about Game 4. It's about to go into overtime, and then Aaron Gordon gets a dunk, and you're like, wow, like, how did this series get here? The playoffs this year have been must-see TV. And I don't care what anybody says.
You talked about ratings. The ratings were actually up 25%. They're like they're the highest ratings that we've had, like, in this century, like before 2000.
Oh, wow.
For the playoffs, for the first round of the playoffs.
Okay.
So I'd agree, and I think part of the reason why is incredible parity. I mean, I could see the winner of this Game 7. It wouldn't be hyperbole to say the winner of this Game 7.
You say a lot of dumb shit, so be careful.
No. Listen to what I'm going to say. The winner of this Game 7, I don't think anybody would be totally surprised if they go on to the Western Conference Finals and possibly even win the Western Conference Finals. I don't think it'll happen. I think OKC is going to come out of the West. I've said that from the jump, and I still think that's
the winner of this series has to play OKC.
I understand that.
So they're going to go from beating each other up to then beating OKC?
What I'm saying is it's not out of the realm of possibility that this 4-5 matchup could come out of the West. And I think people can agree with that. I think in the East, there's not as much parity. There's 2 teams. But in the West, there's tons. And nobody is in agreement who's coming out of the East. Remember, from 2014 to 2021, we knew exactly who was coming out of the East most of the time, and for the most part, we knew who was coming out of the West. There was a good 6-year stretch where it was like, none of this matters until we get to the finals when it's Golden State and fucking Cleveland, So basketball's in a much better place. I think that's why these first round series have been incredible.
Yeah, you look at the Warriors and Rockets series. That's like another Detroit. Detroit New York series where it's just a battle of like 2 styles that are just like completely different, right? Like, one's like brute tough guys that don't really have I don't want to say an offense, because they do have an offense, but they're so physical on the offensive glass and getting extra possessions. And
they're not like flashy or finessey on.
No, they just make it work. Every time we played Houston, it was just like it was a battle of the boards, and whoever won that usually ended up winning the game. And then you look at Golden State, who has a player like Steph Curry, which gets everybody's attention. Yeah. And when you have everybody's attention, other guys can backdoor cut and do this and do that. And it opens up the floor for everybody else to score. So guys like Moses Moody, you talk about Buddy Hield breaking loose. Then you have a guy like Jimmy Butler who has that playoff aura,
can go for 30,
experience. And I think what this should show young guys, if you're watching the NBA, is that you need to look at what roles need to be fit in a playoff team. Rebounding needs to be passing, shooting, defending, rim protection. All those things fit a role, and just because you have your bag or your what you have game or whatever, like, some of that stuff doesn't translate from the regular season to the playoffs. And if you can you can fit a role on a playoff team of like whatever those things that I just said, passing, cutting, rebounding, shooting, defending, rim protection, then ultimately, like, you'll find a spot, on the floor.
And it's like once you prove yourself in the playoffs, all of a sudden you are valuable. It really doesn't matter, and not to say it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season, but it is amplified. Like, if you can, I mean, Amen Thompson's a good case. He's not a great shooter.
Both the
twins aren't great shooters. You can't say that they're not skilled offensively. They can handle the rock, but they are freak athletes that cut very well. They finish at the rim, and they're defenders. And they're both found huge roles, and especially Amen wasn't having a hard time finding roles in a role in the beginning of the year, and now is like a big
he said, fuck it, I'm gonna go out there, rebound, defend. Now he's in transition. You know who doesn't get enough credit over there, who kind of is the glue that keeps it together, is Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet has been a fucking thorn in my side since he's been in the league. It always seems like whatever team he's playing on, Toronto or the Rockets, and I tell him this all the time, I'm like, every time your team needs a fucking big shot, I'm always looking over, and it's you fucking holding a follow through and making a fucking big shot. He doesn't get enough credit for the shit that he does that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. Sure, people may talk shit about shooting percentages or this, but the toughness, the awareness, the basketball IQ, fucking Fred VanVleet needs to be given his flowers for the shit that he's done in his career, going from undrafted to where he is now.
Getting a chip, all-star.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all the other intangible stuff that's like the glue that keeps it together, the straw that stirs the drink. Without him, are they as organized or where they need to be? Because he's kind of the brains or the handout for the coach.
The coach, extension of the coach.
And he does a phenomenal job. So Fred VanVleet doesn't get enough credit for that.
Yeah, he doesn't. And that just goes to show, you always say this, how important having a vet in the locker room is. Because it's that Detroit team isn't so much different than last year's team, but they just have vets in the room.
Yeah, like another one, Tobias Harris.
Yeah,
show up every day, give you what you need, kind of keep the glue together, tells everybody where they need to be, and it all works.
And timely shots are such a big thing also. It's a person can shoot 30% from three, but if those 30% that they made are in big spots, it's certain people always feel like it's big spots that are.
It definitely works. And then you have, moving on to, obviously, we're not going to touch on the Cavs and Miami series.
I mean, that was just an absolute boat race. They just got boat raced.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think I've said it before, Miami, they've been through a lot this year, right? Yeah. It's been tough on them. Obviously, Cleveland is clicking on all cylinders. So credit to them. Credit to Max Strus.
Yeah.
Because you talk about the role that Tyler Hero was on, and Max Strus just goes out there and literally makes it a point to pick him up full court the whole game.
Familiar with his, it's probably spent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But to sacrifice yourself to be I don't care what's going to happen, I'm going to eliminate him from the game. So after games 1 and 2, you saw 3 and 4, he was just out there chasing Tyler Hero around, and then he's scoring. He's making threes. Yeah. He's doing all the little things for Cleveland and eliminates their offensive weapon while he's still scoring points. He's also another guy that's glue and keeps that group together after being there and knowing how he kind of interacts with people. He's a super important piece, and I look to see him kind of just continue to be who he is to help them, bring home a championship.
Yeah, I know it's a sore subject, but
that's why we're going to move on to the next fucking series. I said what I said. You don't need to have a fucking opinion. And you think it's funny. So anyway, moving on.
Funny. I want to say my piece about the Cavs.
No, I don't want to hear what the fuck you have to say.
It ties into what we were talking about before. It's not just blowing the Cavs.
No, because nobody cares.
This is the meme where it's after you say that, then it's the smiley face hits your face. I'm excited to see what happens in Indiana because I think Indiana is a fun matchup. I don't think they're going to give the Cavs problems. I don't. But I think, no. But I think it's a fun matchup.
Bro, speaking about fun matchups, can we talk about that Milwaukee-Indiana series since we're talking about Indiana? That was some spicy stuff. First off, you talk about closeout game at home. Indiana's going crazy. We grow basketball here. And literally, Milwaukee has the game.
Won. It's in the bag. More so than Detroit had it in the bag last night.
And it's almost bullshit because Doc Rivers takes a lot of heat for whatever, like what happens in games or whatever people want to say. And if people are just going to look at the score of that game and saw that they lost, but like at the end of the game, when you're passing and those turnovers happen, and I understand that happens with Gary Trent, it's really unfortunate because he had a fucking phenomenal game. Like he was stellar, right? But he had those 2 turnovers, and what people don't realize is that if Damian Lillard is in the game, right, that's why you pay superstars that, is because you pass the ball to him, he gets fouled, you knock down free throws, you go home, right? So, like, what do they want Doc Rivers to do? You know what I mean? Like, he called a timeout, advanced the ball. I thought A.J. Green may have gotten fouled in the middle of the court. He passes it to Gary Trent, who, like, just happened to look the other way. And then you talk about what happens after that, like, or the whole sequence of that. Tyrese Haliburton, and 1-3, or and 1 layup. Then they get that stop, and he goes in and lays it up. Yeah. Which is a phenomenal game. And it ends, and then whatever transpired after that, it was.
By the way, did you? I mean, we can also cut this, but did you talk? Did you get any inside info about that or not?
No, really? I mean, listen. Tyrese is a great friend of the podcast, so the conversations that we have obviously stay between us. I mean, obviously, I think he'd addressed it.
I think he did a great job addressing it. I think he got put in a tough spot. I think he handled it with class. I even think Giannis handled it with class. Like, it's the best. What are you going to do? Like, you're heat in the moment, people get jacked up. And like for Mr. Haliburton, he's jacked up that his son just won a series. By the way, another guy who gets a lot of shit for like, not a lot of shit, but there's talking heads that are like, oh, he got this huge contract, he's not scoring, and look what he did in the playoffs. Like he had some huge moments, and it's like, I'm happy. I do really like that Indiana team.
And anyone that says like, Tyrese is overrated or whatever you say. Like, listen, I'm sure you may feel some type of way because his game is unorthodox and doesn't look like, a typical point guard. But the fact that he has double-digit assists constantly, he pushes the pace for his team. Guys want to play alongside him because they know they're going to get the ball.
And he's an efficient scorer. It's
like he's not just over there, taking shots because he can get it off. He's more or less like, is this my shot? Can I get someone else's shot? Everyone loves playing with an unselfish point guard. And you talk about like overrated. Like the guy's been to the Eastern Conference Finals. You saw what he did that series, and I don't think he really pays it any mind. I mean, he's always going to play with the chip on his shoulder. As you saw, he was getting a little spicy talking in that series, and good for him because I think at the end of the day, like you can feel when guys like doubt you or don't respect your game, but yet he keeps stepping to the table. And
he answers a call
and proving them wrong. And whenever it's gone bad, sure, he may go through a drought, but he always bounces back. Where some other guys, they get called out or it goes bad and it just continues to get worse. And he's not that guy. So my guy Tyrese, credit to you. It's really impressive what you've been able to do.
You always hear about Indiana outperforming what people think they should do, And so like
they're a good fucking team.
They're good. They're a really good team, and they're tough, and they do have that identity of like scrappy underdog type. So, and another friend of the pod, TJ. Gotta love him. I mean, he's fun to watch out there.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal, and the improvement that they've shown on both sides of the ball moving forward is pretty impressive. But don't cut me off.
Were you going to talk about the 100 men in Gorilla?
No, I wasn't going to talk about that because that's not important. Let's talk about, speaking of improvement, I'd be remiss to not talk about this. Dyson Daniels winning most improved player. Congratulations, Dyson.
Stud.
I mean, you friggin' truly deserve it, bro. Yeah. I mean, you talk about someone that had to wait on their opportunity down in New Orleans, and then when you're given that opportunity to take full advantage of that, that's not easy because he could have easily came in and been given an opportunity in Atlanta and not been prepared for it and not looked great, but he was more than ready for it. He's a bright spot on our team in Atlanta.
Stud.
I'm happy to be alongside you, one, because you steal the ball from everybody, and
could have been.
That means less time on defense for us. And you've done a phenomenal job of growing your game. So congratulations, Dyson Daniels, most improved player. You truly deserve it. Zach Richeche, if you hear me out there, Frenchie, you deserve to win Rookie of the Year. But
Stefan.
I think the next year they're going to come out with a sophomore of the year. So
he'll win it.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, look, you would have loved for him to win Rookie of the Year, but I think most people, anytime I don't want to say foreigner, a European or person that's foreign, is foreigner like offensive? I don't know. Can you say foreigner? Who knows? Anytime a foreigner is drafted number 1 and people in America don't really know who that person is or aren't familiar with their game, there's questions about, is this a deserving number 1 pick? And I think unequivocally, our boy Zach has shown like he deserved that number 1 pick, was right there, in that race with Rookie of the Year, and very bright future for that dude. And I think the Hawks in general. I mean, Jalen Johnson coming back next year. Yeah. You guys are going to be a problem.
We're excited. We're excited about what's coming up.
You don't want to talk about the 100-man gorilla? Let me just ask one question.
Okay.
If you were a gorilla,
a silverback gorilla.
Hold on. If you were a gorilla and 100 men were attacking you, would you be able to beat off 100 men?
Okay.
Would you be able to?
This is why we can't have nice things. But I'm going to address this, right? No? I'm going to address this, right? So if there's 100 male species getting ready to attack one silverback gorilla, you got to minus at least like 45 of the male population, right? Because they roll up to this silverback gorilla and they see what he does to the first 10, and they're like, yeah,
all set.
I ain't it. So therefore, you have 45 left because he's going to beat the shit out of the first 10.
He's going to murder.
And then the next 45 are like, nah, this ain't it. Like, like I ain't going for this.
I'm not doing it.
And then it's 45 against 1. Like,
eventually he's
like
these lose.
We're talking about gorilla strength.
Yeah. But eventually
like this dude is swinging like around the jungle.
What do you think?
He'll swing one guy into 10 guys.
What do you think?
10 times.
What do you think
What's the math on that?
I don't know, but what do you think?
100.
What do you think the biggest animal you could take 100 of by yourself is?
Ants?
You could take more than, obviously.
Oh, they're small because anything that's like
rabbits. Could you take 100 rabbits?
Bro, 100 rabbits? That's freaking people out.
I don't know.
You couldn't even take on 100 crows. A bird would fuck you up.
Oh yeah, a bird would fuck you up too, though. Don't make it seem like I would get fucked up by a bird and you'd fuck a crow up. I wouldn't. You would get murked by a bird. Yeah, crow, hawk, cooked. I think maybe and I think probably even a squirrel. 100 squirrels could overrun a human.
Yeah, what?
What about age of, it's hypothetical, we are obviously not going to be hurting babies, but the age of humans that you think you couldn't take on, 100. I could take on 100 babies, but maybe not 100 toddlers.
You can't even take care of the 2 that you have now.
This is true.
Shout
okay.
out to Mrs. Spees, because, she's the...
Stop hitting on my wife.
She keeps this family together. I'm the adopted child, and she keeps us going. So shout out to you, Aaron.
Are you gonna come to Quincy's first birthday party? Fourth birthday party.
Quincy, I just want to tell you this first. Happy birthday, my man. They're gonna, play this for you at your birthday party, but I'm not gonna be able to attend.
There's gonna be a hot dog truck.
You're a sick individual. You have issues, but I love you. You have a lot of issues.
Okay, before we jump, I did want to ask you.
We can keep going. Come on.
I wanted to ask you about which team you would like to see draft Cooper Flagg, because the lottery is coming up, I think, next week.
What do we got? The Utah Jazz.
Should we look
Brooklyn
at odds?
Nets.
Let's look at lottery odds.
No, I'm not supposed to look at odds.
Really?
It's against my job.
I'll look at lottery odds, NBA. Okay. We have.
Wait, can you ask me
Team
this? Who's on your Mount Rushmore of New York Knicks players? Is Jalen Brunson in that?
I don't know how you can't have Jalen Brunson as a top 4 Knick player right now.
Patrick Ewing.
Carmelo
Anthony.
Maybe, yeah.
No. Melo.
I love Melo, but he played 7 years.
You in his top.
I think he only was on the Knicks for 7 years.
Okay, Jalen Brunson's been there for 4.
Jalen Brunson has done a lot more than Carmelo Anthony has. Unfortunately,
don't say that.
Team success.
Melo brought them to the second round of the playoffs.
They had the 1 year in 2013 where they had 53 wins, and they went.
So
and then that
the
was
same.
It. Brunson has been in the playoffs now. 3 times all 3 years.
But they've gone the same Distance.
I hear what you're saying. Same distance.
I think Melo might even
Bernard
go to the
King's
Eastern
probably on
Conference.
it. No, they never made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Clyde Frazier.
You could say Clyde. I mean, I feel like Clyde.
Patrick Ewing, my bad.
You said Patrick Ewing. That was the first.
Allen Houston.
Charlie Ward. No, probably not Allen Houston.
Allen Houston. He's being disrespectful.
Okay, so I would say at this point right now, I think, and a little bit is recency bias. Jalen Brunson is a top 4 Knick of all time. He is going, and it's because most people think there's going to be more success ahead.
Against the Celtics?
No, I mean years to come. I don't think that team is incomplete, and I've thought that team was incomplete. From the beginning.
Incomplete. Well, I'll have to see.
We will have to see. Okay, are you ready for? I'm going to give you like the top 7 teams, and you tell me where you'd really like to see Cooper Flag go. You got Utah, Washington, Charlotte, New Orleans, Philly, Brooklyn.
You can't really
Toronto.
lose in this draft, but send Cooper Flag to the Utah Jazz.
You would like him there?
Him, Lauri Markkanen. Why
Yeah.
not, man?
That would be fun. I think it'd be really fun to see him in Philadelphia because you know what I think would happen?
Huh?
Him in Philadelphia. There's a shot Philadelphia. I mean, it's in Chicago
So
too.
the starting lineup is going to be Tyrese,
Jared
McCain, Paul George, Cooper Flag, Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid is Joel Embiid going to play next year?
There's one ball.
I still think it'd be fun. You don't
You're
think
an
that'd
idiot.
be fun?
You just play 2K in your head. Anyway, this doesn't make sense. A number 1 pick, what? Being a role player?
Okay,
I don't want role players are valuable, right? Because there's only one ball.
Do you think that
What?
Do you think Paul George?
It doesn't matter what I think. It's how Paul George thinks while he's out there. Like, at the end of the day, like, some people aren't going to give up what they were.
It didn't work, did it?
They were
It did not
injured.
work.
They were injured.
Yeah,
so we're not going to sit here and argue because this bozo thinks he knows everything.
The real place I'd really love to see him go, aside from
Brooklyn.
it'd be cool to see Brooklyn. I really think it'd be cool to see Brooklyn because it'd be New York, and that would be box office. I would love to see him go to Chicago. I think it'd be cool just for the city.
You're just listing places that you like.
Yeah.
No, like
Exactly.
you have lived in or from.
I hope he goes to Boston.
Anyway, with that being said, we are brought to you by MyBookie. Like, subscribe,
Throw the shades on.
follow the Bench Sheet Podcast. But that being said, go on MyBookie, use promo code GrillGuy, and let's get it done. Let's win some parlays. Let's win some bets. I can't bet on basketball personally, but I'm locked in on the NHL. Next week, we'll give you our quick picks for the Stanley Cup.
Who do you think is going to win the cup? Can you give me one?
I told you, the Edmonton Oilers.
Do you think the Oilers?
Yes.
Can I give my pick for? You want to give your pick for the NBA Finals after
No,
round
that's
1?
not. Go ahead. Go. You go.
You want me to say it? Mm-hmm. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to win the championship.
Let's go. I love it.
Actually, JK, I think Oklahoma City is going to be.
See, this is what I mean. There's no consistency here, but we are going to be consistent.
Oklahoma City.
We are going to be consistent this summer, bringing you.
We got guests. Maybe we should do a live show.
We are going to do that, but he didn't let me finish.
All right.
Yeah, so we are going to have guests. We're going to have live shows, probably down in the New York tri-state area, up in New England, possibly out on the West Coast. But we're so glad that you guys are back on the bandwagon. Like I said, like, subscribe, follow to the Bench Sheet, and we will be back to you next week.